Welcome to the Good Karma Sportfishing podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet.
And welcome to the You Have the Power To podcast. I'm your host, Melinda Van Fleet. Well, hey, Captain Ryan.
Hey, how's it going this morning?
Good. I want to say something, and that's I love you.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
This came to me this morning on my walk, and Ryan and I say I love you to each other many times throughout the day. And it dawned on me several years ago that probably the reason why is because I grew up in a household that never said I love you. I never heard my parents saying it to each other. They certainly didn't say it to us. And I remember, like at Christmas time as a kid, I remember thinking to myself, should I say I love you to my parents? And I always had like this weird like energy around it. So I'm just so grateful that Ryan and I have that as part of, how we are, just how we be. So I'm definitely sharing that with everyone out there because I believe there's a lot going on in this world. And if you just took a moment, if you're not someone that already does this, and just looked at your spouse or partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, a friend, family member, and just told them that you love them, like that all builds up and leads to happiness. And there's a lot of people just wanting to be happy out there. So just take a little moment to do that. I noticed in my sister, without even discussing it, but I noticed when she had my nieces, she would tell them every day that she loves them. And then she and I talked about that several years later. And the fact that she does that was also a result of growing up in a household where we didn't say I love you to each other. So that's just my little tip to kick off this podcast. Say I love you to someone today, and just see how it makes you feel a little better.
Yeah, that's so true.
And that's a fishing tip. You can tell the fish you love them too.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I go down and tell the fish that swim around my goggle eyes that I love them.
You do. And we tell the Good Karma that we love her.
Oh, yeah.
We tell the Sea Hunter that we love her.
Yep.
Yeah, we do all the time. It's just part of what we do. It's part of, just becomes part of you that you do that. So anyhow, so today's topic is called Fishy Energy for Ryan's podcast. And for me, it's the power to be a contrarian. And this word is one I just recently heard when I was doing a training for something I'm working on, which is along the lines of writing. And I was watching this training. It was a recorded training, a Q&A. And the person asked the teachers something, and she kept saying over and over that she was a contrarian. And innately, I knew what it meant, but I still Googled it. So I'm going to read the Google definition because I wrote it down. A person who opposes or rejects a popular opinion. So that's from Google. And I believe that if you are a contrarian, like Ryan and I are, it's really important to step into your power and speak up and be that and share those points of view because they're often next level. And really not try to dumb yourself down or quiet yourself in the process. So this person that was speaking up, it was really funny because she was talking about how she worked for Tony Robbins for like 15 years. And I definitely have an opinion on what it's like to go to a Tony Robbins event because I did that in 2018. So I definitely am aware of how NLP is and how he has like master salespeople that appear under the guise as a speaker, but really they're selling you the programs and you get sucked into it. And I did all that and learned a lot about a Tony Robbins event. And there's lots of events that are like that too. And not just Tony Robbins, but so she was saying, how do I write about this? I'm a contrarian. And it was just kind of a fascinating discussion, but it opened up a discussion with Ryan and I about speaking up and speaking our truth and speaking what we know and not just being sheep. And I think, unfortunately, that's what's going on in this world is people are getting afraid to speak up or they're speaking up in sound bites, which is something I've talked about a lot before. And they're just not afraid to speak up. So we really want to make sure that we're on our path in terms of speaking up about different things.
Yeah, that's correct. So you have to speak up. And if you don't, you're just, I don't know.
You're one of the sheep, and you're not living in energetic alignment with who you are.
Yep.
So it's very interesting. Ryan was looking at LinkedIn this morning, and Time Magazine just released their new issue. Now, we haven't read it, but the cover of the magazine says, "Zip it, the power of saying less." So here we are with this topic that was already predetermined. Ryan and I talked about it earlier this week about being contrarians. So I'm actually looking forward to reading this article, and maybe we'll do a follow-up podcast to see what it talks about. But here we are saying, no, you need to speak up for yourself and not just be sucked into this world of, being overly medicated and not speaking up, or living in the kindness lane and not setting boundaries. Like, no, like own your power, speak up for yourself, set the boundaries. Like if someone doesn't own what they need to be doing for you, and especially if you're a client, like speak up for yourself. Like it's really really important to own that.
Yes, extremely important.
And we set boundaries in our business too. Like I think it's important too as a business owner that you set the boundaries and you live in alignment with that energy too.
Right. I don't follow the sheep. I do my own thing. And I had a guy ask me the other day, is like, well, people are telling me I need to do this and do that, and what I'm doing is wrong. I immediately said, hey, you have to be your own person and do what feels right to you. And what will happen is, as you do things, you make your own mistakes, and you say, okay, that doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. And then you're developing your own path. When you're trying to copy somebody, or you're trying to be somebody that you're never going to be successful. Never. Not out on the water, because the universe knows that you're kind of weak. So you have to develop your own styles. When you copy somebody else along the way, I'm hearing a lot of things, for example, of people copying me. So, and how I talk and the phrases. You got to develop your own way out there, man. I see a lot of younger guides are kind of lost, I think. But, and because there's just a lot of stuff out there. They all try to be somebody, wearing all the gear, trying to be that guy. I don't know, man. I don't wear a label unless somebody pays me.
Yeah, we have never been those people that wear labels ever. Because if you think about it, this is a contrarian point of view. Not only did you pay for that Huck t-shirt, I'm just going to use Huck as an example because we see a lot of Huck t-shirts, but then you're advertising their brand. Hello, think about it. So it's very interesting. Ryan will get comments once in a while like, why don't you get all dressed up? And he's like, because I'm happy with what I'm wearing and I don't advertise for other people unless I'm getting paid.
Right. Yeah, I don't advertise for anybody unless I'm getting paid.
Yeah. So it's interesting too. Bethany Frankel, if you may know who she is, especially if you're a woman, she's used to be a housewife. So she has a podcast called Just Be. And she's a contrarian. She's a perfect example of a contrarian. And contrarians end up being very successful because they're speaking their mind. The people that like them end up, connecting with them or following them, however you want to put it. And once in a while, I'll kind of scroll through her podcast and kind of see what she is talking about. And I clicked on, it was just such perfect timing, divine timing, her podcast from January 19th. And halfway through the podcast, she talks about another podcast episode with Gwyneth Paltrow and Kim Kardashian, which was on Goop. And I did listen to that podcast when that came out because I like both Gwyneth and Kim Kardashian. So I was very curious. And what she ended up talking about was women empowerment. And she used herself an example of something that happened in regards to that podcast. She must have created a post that said LOL about the podcast. And I guess she got some backlash that, people were saying that, she doesn't empower other women. And she was like, well, that's kind of bullshit because I do. That doesn't mean that I have to like or agree with everything that everyone says, right? And that's so true. That is, I was nodding and hell yeah, as I was listening to that. So people tend to put other people in buckets and label them so quickly if they have a different point of view or a different perspective on something, and they kind of group you under this umbrella that's just really unfair. So, we have had that many times in our business, especially since our business name is Good Karma, that, you know, people sometimes throw things in Ryan's face. And he's like, no, I'm just setting a boundary. Like, I have courses, I have a podcast that's been out there for over 4 years. I have a fishing charter. I'm a coach. That does not mean that you have the right to sneak around my boat, try to see what's going on, and even ask someone who helps me, like, where I'm going and what I'm fishing. That's very sneaky energy.
Sneaky energy does not fly with me. It does not. And I've had some recent experiences with sneaky energy. And like Melinda just said, this just happened. The gentleman came up to me before Christmas, and he says, he was always complimenting me on my catches, and, you know, hey, I found your website. And then he came up to me and told me he didn't need to buy any of my courses, because if he did that, he wouldn't be learning on his own. And then he turns around and says, well, I'm learning from YouTube. So, which is
it's fine.
Which is fine. Your own path. It's all good. There are some good YouTube channels out there, and I know which ones they are. So he comes back, and so I come in yesterday. I leave. I see the guy sitting on the boat, and I told my boat detailer, like, before he started, I said, hey, there's going to be people come up to you once they see you working for me that are going to try to pull information from you about me. Sneaky, because that's the way sneaky people work in the fishing industry. So I learned that the hard way. People booking trips with me for the wrong reason over the course of the years. I've had a couple of those guys that are no longer welcome back. And so sure enough, my boat detailer came up to me and said, hey, Ryan, I just want to let you know what you told me occurred yesterday, and I handled it the right way. The guy watched me leave. He came over to my boat. He started sniffing around. He was trying to look at the GPS, and he was asking for specific depths of where I go fishing. And he waited until I leave to ask my boat detailer that information. Mm-hmm. So after that, I had to talk to the dock master, let him know what's happening, because when people start snooping around the boat, in this day and age, you have to protect yourself because of the theft. So cameras, guys, you got to take care of your stuff.
Yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday about cameras. I'm like, get cameras everywhere. Plus, you can hear what people say. Like, it's
right.
Like we have this on at our house. Like, we see you.
Yeah, and you got to be careful who you trust. I mean, I can't believe I'll go to the marina. I see guys leaving their stuff out overnight. It's just like, guys, you don't know who's in that marina. You don't know who comes in at night. So there's lots of stuff happening out there. And when you got to take care of your stuff. You got to take care of your boat. You got to love your boat. You got to love what you do. That means, like, don't be lazy. Keep an eye on things. Watch your back.
Yeah. So our point is that you can set boundaries and you can speak up for yourself, and that's okay. It's okay to go against maybe what someone else's belief is and stand up for yourself. You have the power to be a contrarian.
Right. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You have that power. You can set those boundaries, and who cares if it pisses them off?
Yeah, honestly.
Who cares if you hurt their feelings? Mm-hmm. And basically what they do is they come back and they try to put it in your face about good karma.
Right.
You know, and
which was exactly what
I can't believe. I mean, I have like emails from people that are pretty well known that I've saved about throwing karma in my face because I wouldn't give them specific information. Mm-hmm. So it's my right. Yeah. So I have groups and courses, and so I've got lots of podcasts out there with lots of nuggets in them. Mm-hmm. So
too many.
And
as you've recently been told to.
Yeah, I know.
which we love that contrarian point of view.
I know. It's like I had a
circled that perfectly.
I know. I had podcast listeners that emailed me the other day thanking me for a couple of the audio courses, and he's like, "You've made it too easy." And if you really pay attention and listen, awesome. We love that. He said, you made it too easy. And I go, it doesn't have to be hard.
Mm-hmm. Well, even your fishing charters, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
You've made it too easy for people. So then their expectation is that, you know, these big mutton snappers just snap it like flip right into the boat.
Right.
And they have no concept or appreciation of all the work that goes into catching that fish. Not everyone can do that. But because Ryan's made it look easy, then, you know, people's expectations have changed. And honestly, we share these examples because this is what's going on in the world. right? And when Ryan and I started to pivot into coaching and speaking and all these things, over 4 years ago now, the whole point of it is that Good Karma Sportfishing is a vehicle for us to share stories and examples of how it is out there, right? That these stories you can relate to, if you are someone who has a different business model, maybe you're a car mechanic, or maybe you, are a hunter, or, anything. It's relatable on any single level. These are just personal stories that are about relationships and energy and how people treat each other out there and how you can stand up for yourself and love yourself. So I hope that people really realize that when they listen to a podcast, if they're like, oh, it's about fishing. No, this is relatable on all the levels. This is just our business, and we're using these stories to help you get stronger as a person and be more awake. Wake up.
Yeah, wake up. Wake up. And it's like I got a message from somebody yesterday about a younger fishing guide copying a lot of the things I was saying on Instagram. And I was like, what came to me, I was listening to some energy podcasts at the beginning of the year about finding your own way and quit copying people.
Yep.
And
because it doesn't work.
Because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I was just like, what the heck? So I was like, I couldn't believe it.
We couldn't believe it because it's kind of corny and hokey.
Because it's kind of corny and hokey, actually, because I purposely say shit on that Instagram just to see who does what.
I remember when Ryan started saying all that stuff, I was like, dude, really? And he's like, no, seriously, I'm going this way. I'm like, all right, whatever, buddy.
It was during COVID.
I
was like, whatever.
To me. I was like, really?
Yeah. I didn't care. I mean, honestly, and I don't like I said, my Instagram is for my clients, and my clients that listen to this, I tell people, hey, if you want to know what's really happening with the fishing, you can email me and I'll let you know it's biting. But I've seen there's only small fish out there. I hate to tell you, but there was a lot of big fish out there this week. A lot.
But you know what? Let's get back to basics, people. Fishing is to have fun. Yep. Any day you're fishing, it's all good.
Back to basics.
Back to basics.
Back to basics. Have fun doing it. It's pretty crazy, but you got to have fun doing it.
Yeah, have fun. So, back to basics. Anytime you're fishing, it's all good. And for anyone out there that's struggling with, finding your voice, with finding a hook, with finding something for your brand, it doesn't happen overnight. I just want people to know that. And I can even share from my personal journey in this space. It's funny when I go back and read through my old journals, I've come full circle to what I originally had as my, let's say, my mission, how I help people. I just tweaked it a little bit. So it's very fascinating. It's a journey. It's an evolution. Don't beat yourself up. So copying someone, especially when they do something specific, like post about porgies, which is what we're referring to, copying something so specific that Ryan's really known for and is actually now moved away from, it doesn't serve you. Just find your own thing, sit with it, take your time. No, it doesn't happen overnight, and that's okay. Take the pressure off. Copying someone for someone that is so known for something, it really, you're just going to look like a goofball.
Yeah, you don't want to look like a goofball.
You don't want to look like a goofball.
Believe me, I've looked like a goofball. And you know what?
I was like, why would you copy that? It's so weird.
You want to look like a goofball, it's all good. But I got to.
It's not the first one, the person that's copied that either. It's
and believe me, really? If you knew what the real meanings were to those phrases, you would not be saying that.
Oh my God.
Because they're not button snappers.
So anyhow, you're excited. You have the first Crew 2 meeting starting on Tuesday, the 24th.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. Yeah, Crew 2, man. I've been waiting for Crew 2. Smaller groups. We're focusing in depth on this coming week. Yeah, on the 24th is the first Crew 2 meeting. So we're digging into real Seymour map stuff that you cannot find on YouTube. I'm going to share some secrets with the guys on how to make their time more productive out there and catching. And finding actual areas. One thing about Seymour Maps is that it's public to everybody. And everybody out there. And now I'm like, okay, everybody has a Seymour map, so everything's public. So, but what they don't know is what actually works. So they're not looking at the right stuff. And so that's what I'm going to be teaching my guys and in that group. So,
and the next Crew 1 meeting is February 8th.
Yep. And Crew 1, February 8th, special guest.
Woo!
Cannot wait. The guys are
and
like,
last month was like on fire.
Yeah, that was an awesome meeting last month. It's like we're bringing guys on that are like actual professionals that really know what's going on out there, okay? Guys that have been in the tackle industry for years, like since they were kids, a lot of them. We've got tournament winning captains that are coming in and speaking. This is not your average. We really are like taking it to the next level. I wanted to see how things were going to go the first couple of years before we advance to this stage, because things need to move slowly to make things happen. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at with Crew 1. Crew 1 is like the guys, what I've seen this year, like it's cut 3 to 4 years off their learning curve. 3 to 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
And spot finding fish migrations, knowing when to be there. It's like, and not just catching a fish off the Dwayne wreck. So, and looking like a hero.
Yeah.
The petting zoo.
And it's so fun to like see what's happening in the Voxer group and all the community building. Yep. It's probably, it's funny because I'm in a lot of like coaching communities for my world, right? And I have to say, like, it really lights me up more to see what's going on in Ryan's group. So it's cool what they all share.
Yeah, those guys
and support each other and share tips.
So. Yeah, they support each other. They share tips with each other. They share what's happening. And it's unlike any other forum out there.
Yeah, seriously. It's
unlike
mind-blowing to me because I'm in so many other groups.
Yeah, it's unlike Bloody Decks or Whole Truth or any of that stuff.
It's different.
Florida Sportsman. It's a great group where you're actually going to get something. So super stoked.
Yeah, and I am so excited. I announced this, Friday night, that I have added Ahai 7-dimensional energy healing or energy work, however you want to look into phrasing that. You can look at it several different aspects. And I will be doing a podcast on my own to talk more in depth about this. But it is something that I've been very passionate about for months. And I am finally able to say I'm an Ahai 7-dimensional energy healer. So again, I'll put the details about that in a separate podcast. But if you are obviously one of my private clients, this is just included. I will also be offering packages to just buy energy sessions. As my teacher, Christina Rice, that's my teacher for this, she says, Ahai is a lifestyle, and she is so right. So I have been practicing on my own, and the changes have been amazing. So now I am able to offer it to be a conduit to this energy for others. So it's really just I'm a channel, I'm a conduit for it, for this very amazing, powerful 7th-dimensional energy. And Soup to Nuts can totally help you with so many different things. It's not just about like healing your knee if it hurts. Like we're talking like crazy manifestations. So if you are one of Ryan's private clients, you can also get an energy session included working with him privately as a private client, or you can just buy separate packages, and I'll be, again, putting that in a separate podcast. So if you are interested in learning more, subscribe to my podcast, You Have the Power To, and stay tuned for that special podcast episode that'll come out very shortly. And just stay in the loop. This is the new way, people. This is the new way. If you are on this bus, this is the new way. If you're not, that's totally cool. Maybe someday you will be, but this is the way. Energy healing. It's truly amazing and life-changing on so many levels.
Yeah. One thing I don't talk much about is what I do as far as energy healing. And I do a lot of it. I do it every day. We just finished a little bit this morning. And what that does for me as a fisherman, it keeps my mind clear and less clutter. And when you're looking to find fish, it's more about taking out all the other stuff around you and being focused. And when things happen out there, as far as like getting yourself, like if you run into a crab pot buoy, it like really like keeps you moving on how to handle situations to where you can still recover a lot quicker and catch fish. So whereas in the past, those things really, or if you're fighting with 10 boats trying to catch fish, this type of stuff really helps keep you on level-headed. Some people are born naturally with it, and some people really need help to get to that next level. You cannot get that next level without some sort of energy help.
Yeah.
So you cannot.
Yeah.
If you think you can, you cannot.
Yeah. And I'm probably going to do a podcast about this too, because it just keeps coming to me as like constantly. If you're following someone out there that's like a really big name, and I'm not going to name the names, but I can guarantee you they're doing this work on the side. I can guarantee it. And I've heard confirmation from so many different people. So this is truly a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle, and it is the way to be happier. As I kicked off the beginning of the podcast, so many people want to be happy. That's a reoccurring theme out there. Like, there are just ways to shift your energy, and this is a really powerful way to shift your energy. So, yeah. So besides that, contact me if you're interested in anything. Subscribe to my podcast. My website's melindavanfleet.com. You can connect with me also on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or Instagram. And yeah. What else you got? I think we're wrapping it up, eh?
Yeah, we're wrapping it up. I appreciate all you guys listening.
Yeah, I hope you like this podcast. Woohoo!
Yeah, all good, you guys. If you guys are looking to book some trips with me in February, I've got, just give me a shout. I would honestly recommend booking ahead. We're wahoo fishing and blackfin fishing. And doing the mutton snapper thing for the next couple months. So book ahead. And then on windy days, we're shallow reef looking for the muttons. So even if, like I said, if you're looking to learn a few tips and all that good stuff, like I said, I've got the courses available if you don't want to book a trip and want to do it on your own. But if you're wanting to come fishing, learn some things. I just had some guys on Tuesday that booked me to go do some mutton snapper fishing. And yeah, their eyes were widened. So...
But I want to be clear on that.
But we want to be clear on this one.
I want to be clear on that. Your charters are to have fun. So you're going to naturally learn. They're not teaching. Ryan's not teaching you how to fish.
Right.
It's a big difference.
It's a big difference.
And he will shut that down.
Yeah, and I will shut that down. I don't. You will naturally learn.
Right.
You will naturally learn. And those that naturally learn, and sometimes people have to validate.
Yes, which I did a whole YouTube video on validation.
Validation is very, I do feel validation is very important.
Yes.
Very important. So, but that's really all I got.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap this up.
Thanks for everyone for listening.
Thank you guys for listening. You can follow me on Instagram, Good Karma Sportfishing _FL_keys. You can see what I'm catching. Like I said, those clients that have fished with me before and are looking for some fishing updates for the future, what's happening, and when to book, you can email me directly at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. Or if you're a new client looking to book, you can email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com as well.
Awesome. I love you, Ryan.
Love you too. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.
Thanks for listening.